Thanks everybody for coming. Tonight's topic is what to do when the world is on fire. It's a little bit different. Normally, when we have these YP happy hours, we're having people from different industries. We had Aaron talking about Hollywood. We've had people discussing all kinds of really interesting things. But so much has changed in the Jewish world in just a couple of...
Sorry.
Oh, that's me.
That's you. Sorry, it turned on.
So much has changed in the Jewish world that we felt, we had to really deal with it head on. So, last week we talked about, last month we had a speaker talk about tolerance and antisemitism, Nancy Kay. Tonight I wanted to offer more of a spiritual approach. Thank you so much. Okay. What do I mean by the world is on fire is that we're in a time when we do not have control over what is going on in the world. Right? It's like a wildfire. Right? There's 0% containment. If you think about those notices we get, and there's a Cal fire, right? Fire is burning out of control, 0% contained. So when there's a wildfire, you call, Cal Fire comes out. Anybody ever seen the Cal Fire trucks and those guys? And ladies and men, that these people are unbelievably brave. They go out and they go out there and they literally battle fires. Okay. It's astounding the work they do. Is that metaphor even applicable today? So, sadly, I'm not convinced we can approach what's going on in the world like a wildfire. Because for a wildfire, you just need to, do things to contain and put out fire. And we can do it with chemicals, we can do it with water, and we can build barriers, or they'll do backburns, they'll build things, and they put out fires. Sometimes it can take weeks, months, a year, but eventually the fire goes away. Anti-Semitism is different than a fire. And so I don't say that to be pessimistic, but just for us to change our perspective on what's going on. But the most important thing to remember is this is not the first time in Jewish history we've had an anti-Semitism conflagration, a forest fire type event where there's an out-of-control anti-Semitism. It's not the first time. And yet here we are at a kosher restaurant in Los Angeles enjoying delicious food and company. So clearly the anti-Semitism and those who tried to do us harm were unsuccessful. It didn't work. Tried as hard as they could. They had no impact on the potential amazingness of Jewish culture and the Jewish people to continue. So that's the first. We have to always remember that. Whenever these horrible things happen, keep that in mind. But this is something that none of us have lived through, I don't believe. This is unprecedented in our lifetime. The most recent example that has been brought up a lot is the Holocaust. And I want to caution us with comparisons to historical events because the Holocaust itself has no parallels in human history. Okay, so, however, the hatred and the things which led up to the Holocaust, those things were very common in other anti-Semitic times, and we are seeing things that are very reminiscent of really dark times for the Jewish people. Public figures espousing anti-Semitism without repercussion, strange alliances of people coming together to hate on Jews, and I won't continue on that. Just there are similarities, but let us not say that this is a Holocaust. God forbid. It is not. We need to put things in perspective. Okay. Now, while it feels like the whole world is against the Jewish people, I have good news. They're not. They're not. You know, right when the war broke out, and soon after the war broke out, and President Biden traveled to Israel, and he said how he stood with Israel, I wrote, I don't know if you saw it, I wrote, what if my great-grandfather, living in Stavisk, Poland, had been told that the American president made a public pronouncement that he stood with the Jewish people? He would have thought that the Messiah had arrived. What else could he think? After enduring pogroms and antisemitism and government repression under Tsarist Russia and all the things that go with being a Jew in, end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, Eastern Europe, how could he not think otherwise? So we do not have the whole world against us. We have allies. We have allies, first and foremost, in our own community. The most unlikely Jewish heroes are appearing. People who you never thought would come to the Jewish people's aid. Like John Lovitz, the comedian, has become a standout, right? And Jerry Seinfeld. Michael Rappaport, okay? There we go. Right. So there's never been a time in Jewish history, by the way, where we had such representation in culture and in political life, where Jews were proud about their Jewishness. It always was the opposite, right? The Jews would hide it, they would convert, all kinds of things to avoid being associated, right? That's the historic, parallel. Today's unprecedented. So we have people in the Jewish community who are allies, who have loud voices and who are standing up for us. We have politicians with loud voices who can make and implement policy, who are standing up for Israel. So we should not in any way despair that this is like 1933 or 1939. Okay, it's not. When the Jewish people were being targeted, we really had very few friends then. Very few friends. I mean, maybe Cuba, Panama, a couple of countries said, we'll take Jews. Right? That was it. I mean, there's obviously more, but I'm just to give you an idea of what was going on in the world. Nobody wanted us. American Jews were afraid to speak up. Okay. So, we also can increase the number of allies we have, which is also unprecedented. First, you can call your congresspeople and thank them for standing with Israel. You can call everyone in Congress and thank them for standing with Israel and encourage them to stand for Israel and say you put your money and your vote behind it. Okay? And politicians want votes, and they also want to represent the people that are going to vote and give them support in the future. So you can gain allies that way, but you can gain allies who you know too. Share your stories. Tell people how you're feeling as a Jew. Share your story. If you don't feel like it's gonna, jeopardize your job or whatever, but share your story with other people. It will gain sympathy, and we need that sympathy right now. So share your stories. That way we can gain more allies. As I mentioned in the beginning, I don't think there's one thing or anything that can be done so simply to put out the fire that's raging of anti-Semitism around the world. Once this gets unleashed, it's like, one of these films, where they've got the thing in the laboratory and then some mad guy tries to, oh, it's called Jurassic Park. Oh, look where we are. Right? You guys ever see Jurassic Park, right? So like the guy, he's gonna sell the eggs, right? And then he ends up letting out the creatures and the whole thing. Oh, I don't. Sorry, spoiler alert.
Who made that film?
Exactly, right? So, once it gets out, it gets out. We're not on an island. Earth is not it's an island in the universe, but it gets out. So we can't put it back in. So where should our efforts be focused? I mentioned trying to develop allies. We should definitely not spend our time convincing anti-Semites they're wrong. Okay? I am the first one to plead guilty for trying to do that. Because I think if they just understood things differently, maybe they wouldn't feel this way about Jews or Israel and so forth. Just a waste of our time. A waste of our time.
It's a good phrase, though. Don't spend time.
Yeah, you like that? Yeah, don't spend time profaning. Okay, good. Now, what we can do is we can work every day in our own way, whatever way you can, to make this world a dwelling place for godliness, spreading light, elevating the world around us, lifting up those who have fallen, and ending bickering among Jews. Every Jew is on this roller coaster ride together. Doesn't matter, if you eat bacon, or you keep Shabbos, or you have a mezuzah on your door, or you pray, 25 times a day. Every single Jew is on this roller coaster together. As we saw and as we've seen, those who are out to cause us harm or to chastise us or harass us, they don't distinguish. They don't, let's say, go to that, building where the Jews are and say, I only want to harass the Jews who XYZ, right?
Hello.
Oh my goodness, Alon, how are you, brother?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
This looks like a great session.
This is a great session.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Former envoy to combat anti-Semitism, Alon Carr. Okay. All right. We didn't plan that one, folks. Now,
We could have invited him.
could have,
Had we known he was
yes.
right
Maybe we'll
there.
get him next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, just to dig down for one more minute on those ideas that I presented. Let's start with lift those who have fallen. Okay? I'm a rabbi, so I believe that our good deeds, our mitzvot, and our acts of chesed have repercussions. They don't, not just isolated events. And when we show compassion for one another, it brings divine compassion on the Jewish people. And we need divine compassion. So I encourage everybody to be involved in acts of chesed, in helping those who have fallen. If it's $5 that you can donate, great. If you can get more involved, great. To bring divine compassion, we have to be deserving of divine compassion. And that is to show compassion for those who have fallen. We have to stop fighting. We have to, as I said, we're on this roller coaster together. There's no getting off. You can try. It's not going to work. So let's build stronger connections with other Jews, especially ones who we don't normally connect with. Okay? If you're right wing, make a left wing Jew, friend. If you're left wing, make friends with a right wing Jew, right? If you're Persian, make friends with non-Persians. If you're Ashkenazi, reach out from that Ashkenazi bubble, and so forth. We have to build wider networks of connections. Spread light. What do I mean by that? Every opportunity you interact with somebody is an opportunity to spread goodness, right? If you're in the market and you go to the cashier and you're checking out, you can make or break that person's day by how you treat them, you know? And that goes with every interaction we have. We have to be very conscientious of how we treat others, and this is how we spread light as Jews. You know, you might not think that you give off Jew vibes, right? You know, you might not think that. You might think that, you know, people don't, but, you know, people are sensitive. You know, they see your credit card, you know, Rochel Goldberger Steiner Burger, you know, and they're like, gosh, maybe she's Jewish, you know, right? We stick out. We stick out, and that's a good thing. I'm not in any way saying that we shouldn't. And then I also do believe in, this wasn't in my notes, let your Jew flag fly, okay? Don't be embarrassed about who you are. Let your Jew flag fly. And lastly, even if you don't pray, we need you to pray. You can light candles Friday night. Every single person can light candles Friday night. So that's once a week. If you can do it every day, do it every day. We need everybody's prayers. It's something every single person can do. It's much more constructive than doom scrolling on Twitter or Facebook. So those are my thoughts. I hope that we've turned frowns to smiles, and that we can go from here to really transform our micro communities and those around us. And let's hope that we can get together really soon and celebrate an end to all this craziness. But until then, please keep these things in mind. Thank you all. Questions? Oh.
We don't have to.
I'll take 2 questions. If anybody has. No questions. Look at that. How much? Anybody? Okay.
Is there any way when you have fellow Jews who are now posting all sorts of stuff critical of Israel, and they're making, a case almost for anti-Semitism at this crucial time, and their retort is, well, yes, but Israel, needs to be more responsible. Is there any way to reach those people without inflaming them?
I don't think so. Before this started, I have tried on and off over the years to engage people from, I'm not even give them the time of day to name the groups they're with. To try, maybe I could, be the one to break through. They're like in a cult, okay? It's a cult. Those of our tribe who have turned so profoundly against the Jewish people are in a cult. And I'm not an expert on cults, but generally people only leave cults when they themselves become disillusioned with the cult they're in. So the only thing you might be able to do, and I say might with a real might, it's a real light might, you could point them to how some of the people in their movement don't just hate Jews. Maybe. I don't give it much chance, but there was a recent video which was good fodder for this, where a person who was getting arrested for protesting started using the N-word and swearing at the black New York cops who were arresting him. Didn't seem very progressive to me, So maybe it's a cult. So again, if they don't want to see it, if they don't already have questions, they will not listen. It only would work on somebody who already has questions. Then you're providing them with a little bit more questions. The only thing I know about cults, by the way, is from our friend Megan Phelps Roper, our friend Megan Phelps Roper, who wrote the book Unfollow, who was featured at Julicious Festival many, many years ago, who got out of the Westboro Baptist Church. So we learned it from her. It only worked because she already was questioning things.
Yeah.
I have a question, Rabbi Yonah.
Yes, so there was one over here, and then we'll go over. Yes. I can do more than one question. Yes. Yes.
Something that I've noticed with a lot of people in my orbit being extra sensitive, since we're all extra sensitive, how can we be sensitive when we are more reserved and not ever
Where everybody, Rachel loves to say that children are like teaspoons, thimble, like a thimble, right? They fill up. They're just
Emotional reservoir.
right. There's no emotional, a little bit of emotion, and they're overwhelmed, right? The kids don't have the regulatory abilities that adults ideally have developed, right? So what you say is very true. We're all on edge. We just have to recognize that everybody else in our community is also on edge, and start every conversation with good things. Don't go dark. Start with a hug or a welcome, whatever your greeting is, and just try to bring some warmth into it first, and that will usually calm out the thing. I wouldn't start with a joke. That might be taken the wrong way.
My question, Rabbi Yonah, is how do you advise someone to give birth to their inner activist? So, for example, let's say someone's 26 years old, he's proud as a Jew, but maybe still building confidence, but wants to do something.
Well, I believe that the best act. Let me say this. The question is, what do you do with somebody has an inner activist? It's really important it's really important to not try to do it on your own. It's very hard to be an activist on your own. You will very quickly become disillusioned because nothing's changing, and you will feel like it's a waste of your time, and you'll go from being an activist to a pacifist. So it's really important, if you want to become more as an activist, is to join some kind of group that is also, you need a support network of fellow activists. We used to call it thank you. We used to call it an affinity group. Okay, you need a group of people that you are activist with. So maybe it's an organization, or maybe it's just a group of friends. It's critical that you have a group. Don't try to be an activist on your own. You will quickly, you'll burn out like a firecracker, and then you'll be done.
Thank you.
And you also be inoculated against activism.
Yeah, and then you might just become pessimistic, so make an affinity group. And they don't all have to be your same age. They just have to be other people who also want to make a difference and work in an affinity group manner, or with an organization that's activist oriented.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thanks, everybody. Now, let's have some more l'chaim. We have some more food out there, and let's raise our spirits. L'chaim.
And book your tickets for Sunday.
Yes, we have a bourbon tasting. If you want to support our everyone should listen. If you want to support our programs, we have a bourbon tasting on Sunday. Shana and Rachel can tell you more.